What is up, guys? My name is Ryan. Welcome to another Honkai tutorial video. Now, in today's video, we're talking about this small debate that is currently up. It's about HUOHUO versus LUOCHA and if HUOHUO is worth over LUOCHA. I want to compare these characters as best as I can with the information that is currently provided um, through the official Honkai tutorial HUOHUO lab site. But before we hop into the topic of today's video, I just want to point you guys to my Discord server where you will be able to see every time when I upload, you will be able to communicate with my with the people that are on the server, which is basically my community, and of course you will be able to communicate with me if you want to have any help. Don't hesitate to join the server and ask for it. Yeah, just by that. Also, I want to point you guys to my YouTube short section where I'll try to upload a YouTube short every day. So definitely make sure to check it out if you want to support me and support the channel. All right, with that out of the way, let's get back into the topic and talk about HUOHUO versus LUOCHA. But before we talk about the actual comparison, maybe we should go over the character preview. So since this video is recorded prior to the release of HUOHUO, I will try to compare them as best as I can. Of course, we don't have any official numbers. We have to wait until the official release, which will be shortly after this video is up. But I think the numbers won't matter too much in this comparison. So that's why I'll try to be as objective as I can. All right. So we do know HUOHUO is from the Wind and Abundance path, which is not that relevant for this comparison. But what is relevant is really it's all about her kit, because this character is mainly about healing, which LUOCHA is also. So that's why we have to compare their healing capabilities, what they differ from each other, and yeah, and then see what is the best for you, for your personal account, or maybe overall the better unit. But we will see here. Alright, so let's start with the traces. Now, when battle starts, HUOHUO gains Divine Provision, lasting for a certain number of turns. So far, we don't know what Divine Provision is. We have to read further for the details. But she also has an increases chance to resist crowd control debuffs. I think this one is a little bit worse compared to the one from LUOCHA. I already can tell that, because I think LUOCHA has a guaranteed resist to crowd control debuffs. I think so. I'm not too sure. We will see it later. And the next is when her talent is triggered to heal allies, HUOHUO regenerates energy. This is also really good. So she will be able to use her ultimate more often, definitely, just by that. Okay, let's go into her skills. Now, basic attack, nothing too special here. She just deals wind damage to a single enemy target, which is basically what every character is doing. The multipliers and doesn't matter at all. Now we go into the first interesting one. We go into her technique. Now, HUOHUO terrorizes surrounding enemies, inflicting horror struck on them. Enemies in horror struck will flee from HUOHUO for a certain duration. When entering battle with enemies in horror struck, there is a certain chance of reducing every enemy's attack for a certain number of turns. Now, what is important here is, what does certain chance mean? Is it less than 100% or is it 100%? But despite of the chance, I think this is a very strong technique that gives HUOHUO the capability of being a nihility character, because she is able to debuff the attack from the enemy, which is a ability that only nihility characters usually have. They have the ability to make enemies a little bit weaker. So yeah, I think it's still important. No, I think it's very strong that HUOHUO is capable of doing that. But still, though, I think it is important. What does certain chance mean in this case? So we will know when she releases, but just the technique is really good already, because it also will hit all the enemies. So from my understanding, when entering battle with enemies in horror struck, so pretty much how I understand is, every enemy pretty much will get horror struck as you use the technique, and as you're hitting them to start the battle, they will all be in the horror struck, and then the certain chance will hit to reduce their attack for those certain number of turns. So yeah, this is a really strong ability, depending on the percentage that it hits. but still though, I think this is already really strong. Let's go now with her talent. After using a skill, HUOHUO gains Divine Provision, lasting for a certain number of turns. This duration decreases by 1 turn at the start of HUOHUO's turn. Lasting, yeah, for a certain number of turns, so it will be at least 2 turns, I think. No, yeah, for sure it will be at least 2 turns because the duration will decrease. And if HUOHUO has Divine Provision when an ally's turn starts, or when an ally uses their ultimate, restores HP for the ally. Okay, when an ally's turn starts, or when an ally uses the HP, restores HP. Okay, so basically every ally gets HP regeneration at the start of the turn, or when they use the ultimate, which is really good. At the same time, every ally with current HP equal to or lower than certain percentage receives healing once. Okay, so this is basically a passive heal. Okay, when Divine Provision is triggered to heal an ally, dispel a debuff from the target. The effect has mass triggerable limit. Using HUOHUO's skill again can refresh the triggerable limit. So basically, this is a passive healing mechanic that will last for a certain number of turns. But the important thing here is it requires her to use her skill. So this is not it. Of course, the skill overall is triggering passively, because only your DPS characters or any other ally characters have to use their ultimate, or just have to start the turn to get back HP, which is already a really good thing. Also, if the healing is triggered, they will also always dispel a debuff. I think this is now really a really important mechanic, but also I do think that it becomes kind of standard on abundance characters. So, like, at the beginning of the game, I thought, like, dispelling a debuff is a very strong ability, because not everyone was able to do that, and we have a limited selection of units. But now, I think that it becomes kind of standard on such defensive units like HUOHUO, and dispelling a debuff is pretty much a staple on a kind of unit like HUOHUO. Yeah. So, I think this is overall a very, very good talent. It seems very strong because it has multiple applications to heal your allies. It lasts for more than 1 turn, so it will be at least 2 turns. If it lasts more than 2 turns, then it is a super strong ability. Because the only problem that I have is that you have to use the skill, but if it lasts like 2 or more turns, it still should be fine. So what you want to have is, you want to use this unit to become HUOHUO to become a skill point positive unit. So for that, it has to last at least 3 turns. If it only lasts 2 turns, she's more so of a skill point neutral unit, because then she will use her skill, then auto attack, and then skill again to get back this talent, because I think this talent is quite crucial from what it sounds like for combat. But if it lasts for 3 turns, then you will have 1 more turn to regenerate back 1 skill point just by attacking. So yeah, it is again very important what certain number of turns means. If it means 3 or more, then this talent is amazingly good. She is a definitely skill point positive character, which is a big plus and a big need for this character. But if she is only a skill point neutral character, this already would make her a little weaker than LUOCHA, in my opinion, already. Okay, now let's get with the skill. This is also nothing too important. Dispel 1 debuff from the single ally and immediately restores their HP, while also healing adjacent allies for a certain percentage of their HP. So I don't think that this is a very new kind of skill. I think LUOCHA and Natasha and even Bailu are already able to do a very similar skill. The only thing is that this also does heal adjacent allies, which I don't think is important enough, even though, of course, the positioning now matters a little bit, and how you positioning your units, because the units that are standing next to that unit also get healed. So as you can see, it's not only 1 adjacent. If there are 2 adjacent characters to that units, then both get healed. So yeah, basically you want to put HUOHUO on the very outside, then you put another character, and your main character or the main fighter will be on the 3rd position, because then mostly you want to heal this character, and then all your other characters will be healed automatically. This is actually important because it will trigger this. So you won't get around, you will have to use this. So you don't get around not using this. Ultimate, also really quick, regenerates a certain amount of energy for all allies other than HUOHUO herself and increases their attack for a certain number of turns. So for this ultimate skill, without knowing any numbers, I think this ultimate skill is really amazing. This is the best abundance ultimate skill right now in the game, in my opinion, because it does three things already. It does regenerate energy. Even we don't know about the amount of energy, this is already amazing, because this is something that Tingyun can do, which is a harmony ability, which a abundance character can do. She can heal all allies. I think this is a kind of standard thing that she wants to do because she's an abundance character. But also she's able to buff attack. Now, if we compare this, Bronya's, now she has a little bit of Bronya's ultimate, she has a little bit of Tingyun's ultimate, and then she has a healing. Now, Bronya's ultimate can buff attack, while Tingyun's ultimate can regenerate energy, while HUOHUO's ultimate now can heal. So she has like three different aspects of different characters' ultimates in her ultimate in one ability, and I think this is really, really strong. The only disadvantage in this is that she won't regenerate energy for herself, which is totally fine because she already does regenerate energy for all other enemies. But for that, we already have this talent. As soon as she triggers her talent, which is this, which you mainly want to use during the fight, she will regenerate energy. And as you have to use the E sometimes to trigger the talent. This will also regenerate a certain amount of energy. So I really think if you build like an energy recharge rope, I think this can be really, really amazing. Now let's go over LUOCHA real quick to compare certain aspects of the abilities. Now for LUOCHA, I want to make it a little bit quick. So single target here. After using skill, he does heal the enemies and gain 1 stack of Abyss Flower. You don't really use this ability, which is a advantage, I think, for LUOCHA, because you never ever want to use skill points. But this is also his most important thing, his talent. Now, if we compare this talent to the one from HUOHUO, so we have to reach 2 stacks of Abyss Flower, which we can do mainly with the ultimate skill. Not so much with this, because you don't really want to use this. We only use this if we are really in need of this, because we want to rather save the skill point and trigger this to heal our allies. So when any enemy in the field is attacked by an ally, the attacking ally's HP is immediately restored by an amount equal to 80% of LUOCHA's attack plus 240. So now the first disadvantage that I see is we have to build 2 stacks, but we only have really the ability to mainly build up 1 stack with the ultimate skill. But it is a very cost efficient ultimate skill. It only costs 100 energy, and the field effect lasts for 2 turns. So this is now really good. And now we also have where is it? We also have the technique from LUOCHA. Okay, where are the techniques? When they oh, here. After the technique is used, the talent will be immediately triggered at the start of the next battle. I think this is a really strong technique, because this helps us to keep this cycle of life really in a clean setup. So we start with this, so we don't have to build any Abyss Flower stacks, because this will already reach for 2 turns. And during that turn, those 2 turns, we will have the ability to use our ultimate. And our ultimate will be able to regenerate us the Abyss stacks a lot faster. Okay, let's go over the tracers again real quick. So when its skill effect is triggered, remove 1 debuff from a target ally. I think also this is not that important, because as I said, I don't really use his skill that much. When any enemy in the field is attacked, an ally, all allies restore HP equal to 7% of LUOCHA's attack. This is also again really good. This is passive healing, And the chance of crowd control debuff is increased by 70%. Okay, it's increased by... Okay, it's not a guaranteed. It's also just increased. So I think HUOHUO will be at a similar pace here. I think HUOHUO should be very similar to this. Then her other trace is Divine Provision, lasting for a certain... When the battle starts, gains Divine Provision lasting for a certain number of turns. Okay, this is also really good. Okay, if I compare this, her Divine Provision already starts at the very beginning of the field. So this is her talent, her trace, and this is very similar to this. If you use his technique, you will be able to trigger his talent right away. So starting from the battle, you already have this, which means that you are not reliant on the skill from the very first turn. So you can use it on a later turn. This one is similar to LUOCHA, and this one is triggering energy. So, like, overall, if we just compare the traces, HUOHUO wins already. This one is... So, let's say this compared to this is like very... No, this compared to this, then the one from HUOHUO is better, because HUOHUO has this included in her skill, not in her traces. So she has a trace that basically is the technique from LUOCHA. So we have the technique and the trace, which is better here. Then we have a 101 similar, or I would say kind of the same trace here, with increased resistance to crowd control. And we have another talent that is able to make the unit more self-sufficient. So in that sense, HUOHUO wins. So just for the traces, HUOHUO already wins here. For the technique, I'd also say HUOHUO wins, because the technique from HUOHUO gives her another layer of ability, which gives her the nihility path, honestly. While LUOCHA is just able to get his talent, which HUOHUO already can do with her trace, just by entering the battle without any other condition. Then her talent, if we compare her talent to the one from LUOCHA, I think that they're all kind of equal to each other. Because the good thing is, we don't know how much lasting for a certain number of turns is. For HUOHUO, it has to be 3 turns to her become a skill point positive character. Otherwise, she's just skill point neutral, but just after the first turn. So on turn 1, we know that Divine Provision is already set, so we can use an auto attack. But after this, we get in a 2-cycle turn for this. So I assume that the talent will only last 2 turns, since this from LUOCHA, since the cycle of life from LUOCHA also just lasts 2 turns. So it will be a little bit broken if it lasts more than 2 turns. So if this lasts 3 turns, I am very certain that this is the way better unit compared to LUOCHA. And I think this is kind of whatever. Same goes for this. And this is again also better than the one from LUOCHA, because this removes 1 buff from all enemies, which is okay. This is really good. It's kind of a debuff, but this does 3 things: energy regain, attack buff, and healing. While this just removes 1 buff from all enemies at least, so this is really good already. It does damage, and it gains 1 stack of Abyss Flower, which gets us our passive healing. So this is kind of hard to compare, but I would say, depending on how much energy this costs, this could be the better skill. But I'm not too certain. I think they're on a very equal level, those 2 ultimate skills. So now I think it is very hard to decide. So for traces, I'd say HUOHUO wins. For talent, I'd say they're all kind of equal, but HUOHUO slightly has the edge. But for ultimate skill, also, it's kind of equal, but HUOHUO has the small edge. But there is one important thing that LUOCHA has that makes him possibly still the better unit, and that is that he is skill point positive for 100%. You don't need to use any skill to heal your teammates. Then there's another thing on LUOCHA that is good. He skates off attack percentage. So his survivability is a lot weaker than the one from HUOHUO. I am pretty sure that HUOHUO will scale off HP. Because her light cone is already has a higher HP threshold, and this is also for a certain percent of the HP. So I am pretty sure that HUOHUO will scale off of HP. So that's why I think that in this sense it is very good for her survivability. But LUOCHA has the weaker survivability, but he can do damage. So I don't know if it is very hard to say if HUOHUO is clearly the better unit. Because as we compare, HUOHUO has in some terms she is a little bit better because she has more utility that she can provide to the team, just because she has this energy regain and she has a attack buff and she has an attack debuff. But all the other abilities, I think LUOCHA can hold up in terms of healing, in terms of survivability for the team, and in terms of debuff. What he loses to is his own survivability, because he scales off attack percentage, so he will have less HP than HUOHUO, and he only is basically about healing, but he is about passive healing, which is the really strong thing. And LUOCHA never has used a skill ever. If you only use basic attack and ultimate, you will get in a cycle where LUOCHA will be able to heal the enemy, will also deal damage, and will generate skill points. And for HUOHUO, we currently don't know how long the talent lasts, because this will decide if she is a skill point positive or skill point negative character. So yeah, this is basically how I'd compare those characters. So for now, I'd say that HUOHUO has the edge, the small edge, but I don't say that she is definitely better than LUOCHA. But we will have to see if the unit's released. We will need the numbers, especially the number of turns of her talent, which is very important. And also the number of turns of her ultimate skill. This will also impact that decision. I will pretty much cover that in the tier list as soon as HUOHUO is covered on the Pride1.gg's tier list. By the way, Pride1.gg, very good website. Link for that in the description down below. So definitely make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to know that. Videos, again, a little bit too long. Hope you guys don't mind, and I see you guys the next time.